Up next on U.S. Bank Business Watch, presented by the Business Courier, the HR pitfalls every business needs to be aware of. Are plans to build 300 apartments in a grocery store here at 4th and Race downtown in trouble? And making walking tours sexy? How some startups are selling their businesses. U.S. Bank Business Watch is next. Good morning and welcome to U.S. Bank Business Watch. I'm Peg Rasconi. On the Business Courier front page centerpiece this week, business owners be warned. In Cincinnati and across the nation, labor lawyers and HR pros warn 2014 is a very bad time to get lost. The reason? Things like more stringent federal regulations, healthcare laws, and new technology. In our front page centerpiece this week, 5 HR issues experts say deserve immediate attention. Number 1, cyber harassment and social media. This is a form of employment discrimination, and it can happen through emails, text messages, tweets, and social media posts. Number 2, bring your own device to work. If workers can use their own phones, laptops, and tablets at work, employers need a policy to protect trade secrets. Third, misclassification of employees. U.S. Secretary of Labor Thomas Perez described the practice of business owners misclassifying employees as independent contractors to avoid paying taxes and benefits as workplace fraud. Number 4, the Affordable Care Act, which some call 11,000 pages of confusion to business owners. And number 5, wage and hour lawsuits. The most common and successful lawsuits against employers are from unpaid wages and overtime, and those lawsuits are growing. Well, for more on those HR issues and what you need to know to protect your business, be sure to read the story in the print edition. Well, it's been a wild week for the Pogues Garage redevelopment deal. It looked to be in jeopardy over an unresolved lease dispute until the project's developer, Flaherty & Collins, agreed to cover moving costs for the building's remaining tenant, Paragon Salon. Mayor John Cranley said he had expected the developer to cover all those costs all along.
What our lawyers tell me is that their disputes with the developer, we put $12 million on the table for the developer. That should be more than enough to deal with this.
Well, the original deal called for the demolition of Pogues Garage at the northwest corner of the intersection and construction of a 30-story apartment tower with a grocery on the ground floor. The proposal, unanimously approved by City Council last year, appropriates $12 million for the project and calls for Flaherty & Collins to acquire new market tax credits to finance it. Well, reporter Chris Wetteridge first broke this story and has been following it all week. He joins Business Courier editor Rob Dahlmeyer in the studio with more on what's happened and what's expected to happen next.
Thanks, Peg. Chris, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So the big question is this going to happen? This is a fast-moving story all week long. You've had 158 stories, I think, so far this week. But is this going to happen? This is a 30-story tower, a big, big deal.
You know, it's an open question. The mayor said that he wants to have 3CDC review it still, even after Flaherty & Collins has come forward and said, you know, we'll write a check, you know. So I think we're going to have to see the end of that review. I think the mayor's a little bit more cold to this project maybe than some members of the city council, so I still think there's a potential for a conflict between him and the council over whether this gets done or not.
What's Cranley's biggest complaint?
You know, he's got a lot of them. He thinks that the project was over-subsidized. The city's putting $12 million into it. He thinks that that is too much money and more than it has put in other places. That's the main thing. He's also concerned about the project getting these tax credits. They're known as new market tax credits for kind of poor, disadvantaged areas. So he's not sure that they're going to be able to get every dollar of those tax credits they need to. So he's concerned that if they don't get those, they might come back to council and be like, well, we need a couple more $1 million. So he's concerned that could happen as well. So that's why he's asked Steve Lieber at 3CDC to look at it.
And why is 3CDC interested in helping? I mean, they've got their hands full and over the Rhine. They're redeveloping that whole part of town.
Yeah.
Why the central business district?
Yeah, I thought that was interesting because this is kind of the type of thing that they would do. Chris Seelbach, the council member who helped come up with the idea of them reviewing it, says they're not interested in taking it over or anything, but they're viewed as the experts on this type of development in town. So they feel like they have the expertise to take a good hard look at it.
So is 3CDC still going to be involved if the developer has said we'll take care of moving Paragon Salon, which is the place that's sort of holding the key here? Does 3CDC have to still be involved at all?
Well, the mayor wants them to be, and Seelbach seems like he's okay with them taking a look at the fundamentals of the deal and determining whether they're good for the city.
Have you talked to anybody who has any complaints at all about just the idea of having a big 30-story tower? Is anybody against the idea of development?
I mean, the one thing that people are really excited about is this is going to have a grocery store at the base in downtown, which is the first full-service grocery store that downtown has had in anybody's memory, at least recently.
Great. Hey, Chris, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Back to you.
Thanks, Chris and Rob. Now, did you catch the Greenpeace protest at P&G's world headquarters in downtown Cincinnati last week? Well, as the Business Courier was first to report, Greenpeace activists gained access to the heavily guarded building by scheduling a meeting with a company that shares office space there. One of the protesters checked in with P&G security, but didn't keep the appointment for the meeting. Instead, that person let 8 other activists in through a separate entrance, one wearing a tiger suit. The group then made its way to the 12th floor of the 17-story Twin Towers, gained access to an outside balcony, and rappelled down to hang 2 banners to protest deforestation, which Greenpeace links to palm oil and is an ingredient in some P&G products.
And that's the scary thing about this. You know, it's a world headquarters, and if they had violent tendencies, if they were terrorists, this could have been horrific what could have happened.
The 9 were arrested by Cincinnati police and jailed at the Hamilton County Justice Center. Each faces a felony charge of burglary and vandalism. Well, clinical trial firm MedPace is being acquired by a London-based private equity firm for $915 million. MedPace conducts clinical trials for companies worldwide that want to bring new drugs and medical devices to market. Dr. August Trundle, the founder and CEO of MedPace, will continue to lead the management team. Headquartered off Red Bank Road in Madisonville, MedPace has more than 1,500 employees and operations in more than 45 countries. TriHealth Physician Partners has increased its staff of doctors by about 25% in the last year, rising to more than 500. That was the biggest jump by percentage of any of the largest health systems in greater Cincinnati. Will Groneman is Executive Vice President for System Development for TriHealth.
Most of the new doctors were specialists in the community who were seeking employment with a health system, and they chose TriHealth because they thought that our needs and vision aligned with theirs, and that they could achieve what they wanted to professionally in the context of employment with us.
Groneman said TriHealth has a broad plan for engaging with employed and independent physicians, but at this point is not setting any targets. Real estate businessman Tom Hume says people looking for a home today are also looking for a sense of community. And the CEO of Great Traditions Land and Development Company says the market has rebounded from where it was just a few years ago to some degree.
The educated buyer is still very cautious. We're nowhere near where things were before the Great Recession began. And frankly, we'll probably never get to those points, and I'm not sure that we should. But in terms of buyer confidence, it's continuing to increase all the time.
Humes has developed 35 communities, more than 4,000 acres, and more than 5,000 home sites in Great Traditions' 36 years. Humes launched the real estate company by rehabbing old homes in the historic Cincinnati neighborhood of Clifton. Reporter Tom Demoropoulos has a Q&A with Humes covering the latest trends in real estate, as well as what Great Traditions is focused on this year. Well, the University of Cincinnati and Xavier University enjoyed banner years in expanding their endowments last fiscal year, adding millions of dollars to their coffers. A newly released annual study of university endowments shows that Xavier's endowment enjoyed the biggest percentage increase for the year that ended June 30th of any large school. Its endowment swelled 13% to more than $132 million.
Xavier, as of 12/31, has had its highest ever historic endowment market value. It's $145 million. We would like that to grow, and by growing, it will provide other funds to be used for other academic programs, for scholarships, which in turn help the students.
UC's endowment increased by $69 million, giving it the largest dollar increase of the 4 largest local universities. It stands at $1.05 billion. Endowments are key contributors to most universities' budgets. They finance professorships and scholarships. On average, universities get about 9% of their budget from their endowments. Well, Northern Kentucky startup accelerator UpTech closed out its second year and recently showed off its 7 portfolio companies. The companies range from a platform to buy, sell, and trade event tickets online to an app that promises to make walking tours sexy again. UpTech is also celebrating a new home-based storefront in Covington.
With our new space, people know where we are and they know how to connect with our companies easier, so they can literally knock on the front door, walk in, and connect with our companies in our space.
The common theme among UpTech startups is their heavy emphasis on informatics companies, because the group has a partnership with Northern Kentucky University's College of Informatics. Up next on U.S. Bank Business Watch, are money problems forcing mahoganies out of the banks? Is Google Fiber coming to Cincinnati? Some news you may have missed if you're not reading the Business Courier online every day or following on Twitter and Facebook. The owner of Mahoganies at the banks has until tomorrow to pay nearly $38,000 in rent and fees or turn over the high-profile riverfront space by noon on Tuesday. The financially troubled Southern Cuisine restaurant defaulted on its lease and was threatened with eviction last month. Mahoganies has been embroiled in controversy since Cincinnati City Council approved an incentive package of nearly $1 million to help Mahoganies open the location at the banks. For quality health care, you don't have to look much farther than the Queen City. 3 of the top 100 hospitals in the nation are in Greater Cincinnati. That's according to the latest annual study by Truven Health Analytics. Bethesda North Hospital in Montgomery and the Mercy Health Hospitals in Anderson Township and Fairfield are among the best out of nearly 3,000 hospitals in the U.S. Truven took into account patient care as well as operational efficiency and financial stability. Well, despite the rejection of its first application for Google Fiber to install high-speed internet service in Cincinnati, the city is going after the internet giant again. A motion supported by all city council members calls for all necessary steps to enter the current national competition to bring Google Fiber to the next wave of cities across the country. Council member P.G. Sittenfeld says he hopes Google will be open to the city's pitch this time around because of the explosion of the tech scene since the city's original application. Google Fiber is said to be 100 times faster than normal broadband internet. Well, the popularity and influence of Xavier University athletics is being leveraged in a unique way to do good work in our community. Xavier and United Way of Greater Cincinnati have created the Xavier Community Partner Program to advance and increase awareness of United Way's 3 bold goals for our region: education, income, and health. The Community Partner Program matches community service organizations with corporate sponsors and Xavier student athletes who work together on behalf of the organization. Well, U.S. Bank is the first corporate sponsor to make a commitment to the program and has been matched with the Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Cincinnati. And this morning, our very own Jim Russell joins us to talk with Brian Clark, Senior Vice President at U.S. Bank and a board member at the Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Cincinnati. Jim and Brian.
Peg, good morning. Thank you very much. Today, we're honored to have Brian Clark with us today. Brian's a Senior Vice President that leads our portfolio managers here in the Cincinnati office in managing about $7 billion in client assets. Brian, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
So you're involved with the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Cincinnati. Lots of things going on. Maybe a couple of different organizations have attached themselves as well. Can you walk us through that dynamic, please?
Yeah, first I'd like to say, U.S. Bank is really proud and honored to be the first corporate sponsor of the Xavier Community Partner Program, along with other partners, the United Way of Greater Cincinnati. We mentioned Xavier athletics. And certainly, again, really proud, again, to be involved with the long-standing relationship that we've had with the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Cincinnati. Jim, I don't know if you're aware, but they currently serve over 7,000 children in our greater community, both Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky, and have a great impact in those communities that they're serving in right now.
So huge scale, huge scope, a lot of things going on. Now, you all have a chance to maybe get together with the kids and do some fun activities. Can you maybe tell us a little bit more about that?
What we've tried to do is we've tried to align these programs that we've come up with the key goals of the Boys and Girls Clubs.
Right.
And those key goals are graduate, ready to serve, and fit for life. So the first program that we just finished up last Saturday, a lot of fun, was we were able to take 50 of these kids from the Boys and Girls Clubs and have them experience a college experience. Took them to the Xavier Creighton game. Great game, great experience from the kids. They're still talking about it when I went to the clubs on Monday, so a lot of fun. The second program that we have coming up in the spring is really a community service project. And that, again, we're going to team up with Xavier athletes, with volunteers from U.S. Bank and the Boys and Girls Club, and we're going to do a community service project in a community where there's a club, so these kids can really see giving back in their own communities where they work and where they live.
Right.
And then finally, which I think is going to be another really fun program, is going to be that program, what we're calling Finance and Fantasy Camp. Again, using Xavier's facilities there. Could take a very small part of that and have a financial education where we're talking about financial fitness and financial responsibility. But then we're going to release these kids onto the Xavier basketball courts, where they can interact with the Xavier coaches, they can interact with the Xavier athletes, and again, all around physical fitness and just having a good time that day.
So no hanging on the rim this time.
No hanging on the rim for those kids, that's right.
Yeah, quickly, can you maybe talk a little bit about what you have in mind for 2014, maybe in the summer months and into the fall?
One of the key programs that we do have going on at the Boys and Girls Club is a new program called D2D, or Diplomas to Degrees. And what we're really trying to do there, Jim, is concentrate on the 7th grade to 12th grade and really enforce the importance of graduating from high school and then helping them facilitate through that process, navigate through college applications, college programs and things like that. And if that's not the way they want to go, job training programs, interview process, and things like that. So really equipping these kids for their next steps after high school.
Boy, all important stuff. Brian, thanks for being part of the solution. Please keep us updated on the progress there. Peg, back to you.
Thank you.
Jim and Brian, thanks. Great commitment to the community. Well, what happens when a startup meets an internet giant? You'll hear from a local man who is finding out. And congratulations to Joshua Smith, city manager of the city of Hamilton, another of our 40 under 40 honorees. In this morning's Business Insight, a local startup is getting some attention from an international e-commerce giant. Amazon.com has launched a new program to sell 3D printed products in partnership with local startup 3DLT. The new division selling 3D printed products is the first of its kind for the online retailer. 3DLT is based out of Uptech and is one of the first companies on the planet to offer a market for 3D printed products and 3D printing designs. For more on the company and the amazing opportunity, here's John Hauer, CEO of 3DLT, joining Business Watch producer Kelly Leon in the studio. John and Kelly.
Thank you, Peg. John, welcome.
Thank you.
This is so awesome and exciting for you.
Yes, it's been a meteoric run for our company over the last 14 months.
14 months you've been in business. How'd you get into this business?
So I started in the printing and retail and e-commerce business, and a couple years ago I was at the National Print Show, and the nature of 2D print is it's starting to dissolve, right? Books, magazines, direct mail, and I really wondered what the future would be, so I started a blog called 3D for Printers and began evangelizing 3D printing to 2D printing companies. An article I wrote was published in TechCrunch around why 2D printing and 3D printing are a lot alike. My co-founder saw it, introduced me to this idea of an iTunes for 3D printing, and we started our business.
Oh, what an interesting way to look at it.
Yes.
So tell me what you can about this relationship with Amazon.
Sure, we have a storefront on Amazon, and we're now selling 3D printed products on their platform. They include things like tech accessories, cell phone cases, home decor items like wall sconces and candle holders, and jewelry items like earrings and bracelets and necklaces.
And you're homegrown. You're an UpTech guy. We had a story earlier about UpTech. Tell me about UpTech.
Yeah, we recently graduated from UpTech. It was a great experience. You know, I've gone on record saying I think an incubator is an awesome experience for a startup, and it most certainly was for us. They really challenged us, pushed the envelope about what we considered milestones in our business. One of them was to get printed products on our site, and the other was to create relationships with e-commerce platforms to feed our products into them. And that was the impetus for working as hard as we did to develop that relationship.
And what advice would you give to other startups? We have a lot of startups on here. We talk about startups a lot. You're kind of one of those. This is quite a story.
Yeah, we're very blessed, right? We're in a market that's like a snowball rolling down a hill, right? So to some degree, there's some inertia at play here. But I think the biggest advice I give to startups is it's a grind. You're going to work hard every day, and you know there's going to be days when you wake up and you go, I can't do this anymore, and you just have to dig 3 feet deeper. In the end, that's what it's all about. You just have to continue to dig, and you'll get what you want.
And you feel like your future's bright? You've got...
Yeah, I think it's only just begun, right? I mean, 3D printing is a $2 billion business today. It's expected to be a $17 billion business within a few short years. The majority of it's for prototyping today, and in the future, the majority will be for consumer products. So the growth rate is insane. Noted futurist Ray Kurzweil recently said that he believes by the early 2020s, a significant fraction of the products we use will be 3D printed. We're right in that space.
That's great. Well, best of luck to you. Thanks so much for being here. We'll continue to watch you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Peg, back to you.
All right, exciting news. Thanks, John and Kelly. And thank you for joining us this morning for U.S. Bank Business Watch. We'll be back next Sunday and every Sunday morning at 6:30 here on Local 12 and 10 a.m. on the CW. And for more business news all week long, visit the Business Courier online, sign up for daily emails, and follow on Twitter and Facebook. The address is CincinnatiBusinessCourier.com. I'm Peg Rasconi. Have a great Sunday.